The city never really slept. Even past midnight, the glass towers downtown glittered like silent guardians, their lights blinking against a dark sky. Inside one of the tallest of those towers, the headquarters of Titan Corp Industries, only a few souls remained awake. Most of the executives had long gone home to their mansions, chauffeurs waiting for them at the lobby doors. But one man stayed behind, invisible, forgotten. His name was Samuel "Sam" Hayes. Sam was the night janitor, 63 years old, thin but sturdy, with gray hair tucked under a faded cap. His back ached from decades of bending and scrubbing, but his eyes, sharp, thoughtful eyes, still held a glimmer of life. To most of the employees, he was just the cleaner, someone you passed in the hall without greeting, someone who pushed a squeaky cart filled with brooms, rags, and a bucket that smelled faintly of bleach. But what nobody knew, what Sam never spoke of, was his past. Once upon a time, before tragedy struck, Sam wasn't just a janitor. He had been an engineer, an innovator, a man with ideas that could have changed industries. But life, cruel and relentless, had stripped him of everything. His wife's illness, the crushing hospital bills, the company politics that destroyed his career. One by one, his dreams had been taken away. All that remained was a man who quietly cleaned up the mess of others. That night, as Sam polished the marble floor of the 40th floor executive wing, he paused. Through the glass walls of the corner office, he saw a young man pacing. The CEO himself, Alexander Pierce. Only 32 years old, Alexander was hailed as a prodigy, an arrogant genius who had inherited his father's empire. He was tall, handsome, always in tailored suits worth more than Sam's yearly salary. His face was sharp, his jaw clenched as he barked into a phone. "I don't care what it costs, buy them out. If they resist, crush them," Alexander shouted, slamming his fist against the sleek mahogany desk. "No excuses. Titan Corp doesn't lose." Sam watched silently from the hallway, his mop in hand. He wasn't supposed to listen, but the man's rage echoed through the corridor. Minutes later, Alexander stormed out of the office, his phone still glued to his ear. He nearly collided with Sam. "Watch where you're standing," Alexander snapped, glaring down. "Do your job and stay out of the way." Sam lowered his gaze. "Yes, sir. Apologies." Alexander didn't spare him another glance as he strode toward the private elevator. The golden doors closed, swallowing him whole. Sam sighed, shaking his head. To Alexander, he was nothing more than background noise. Yet, Sam couldn't help but wonder how someone so young, with so much power, could already be so bitter, so ruthless. The whisper of the past. Later, as Sam collected trash from the executive offices, he found something unusual. On one desk lay a blueprint, a complex design for a renewable energy prototype. He froze. His hands trembled as he picked up the paper. He understood it instantly. The angles, the calculations, the flaws, and it terrified him. Because this was his design. Years ago, before everything was stolen from him, Sam had submitted this very idea at a corporate pitch meeting. He remembered the boardroom, the dismissive stares, the way his concept was brushed aside as impractical. And yet here it was again, his work, revived under Titan Corp's name. His heart pounded. Who had taken it? How had it resurfaced? Sam slipped the blueprint back exactly where he found it. But as he walked away, his mind burned with questions. The humiliation. The next morning, Sam was still on duty when the executives arrived. Their laughter echoed through the hallway, tailored suits brushing past his janitor's uniform. He kept his head down, pushing his cart. But fate, cruel as always, had other plans.
Alexander Pierce himself stepped out of the elevator, surrounded by assistants. He carried a coffee cup in one hand, his phone in the other. When his eyes landed on Sam, something sparked. "You, the cleaner." Sam straightened slowly. "Yes, sir?" Alexander sneered. "You missed a spot. The floor outside my office looks filthy. If I'm paying you at all, you'd better make sure this place shines. Understand?" A few of the assistants chuckled under their breath. He felt their eyes pierce him like knives. His face flushed, but he forced a polite nod. "Yes, sir. I'll take care of it immediately." Alexander smirked, satisfied, before turning away. The laughter of the assistants lingered long after he left. Sam gripped his mop tighter. He had endured humiliation before, but this was different. Because now, deep down, he knew something. Alexander's empire was built on lies. And maybe, just maybe, Sam's forgotten knowledge could tear it all down. The silent witness. That night, long after the executives had gone home, Sam lingered near the CEO office. Through the glass walls, he could see Alexander again, this time with a group of lawyers and board members. Their voices were muffled, but he caught fragments of "cover it up," of "no one must know where the design came from," of "if it leaks, we'll bury them in lawsuits." Sam's stomach turned. His suspicions were confirmed. They had stolen his work, his invention, and now they were using it to secure billions in funding. His hands trembled as he clutched his rag. He had spent years being invisible, unseen, but now he held a truth that could shatter Titan Corp. The janitor was no longer just a forgotten man. He had become a silent witness to a crime. The spark of defiance. As the meeting ended and the executives left, Alexander stayed behind, gazing out at the window at the glittering city. He raised a glass of whiskey, smirking. "This city will never know what it hit it," he muttered. Unbeknownst to him, in the shadows of the hallway, Sam was listening. For the first time in years, a fire lit inside him. Maybe he couldn't turn back time. Maybe he had lost everything, but he still had one thing: the truth. And as long as he breathed, he would find a way to expose Alexander Pierce for the fraud he was.
The elevator dinged softly at midnight, echoing down the empty marble halls of Titan Corp's tower. Sam Hayes stood silently, leaning on his mop handle, his eyes fixed on the glowing numbers above the golden doors. He wasn't supposed to be there. His shift technically ended 2 hours ago, but tonight he lingered. Something in his gut told him that if he left now, the truth about his stolen design, would slip deeper into the shadows. And Sam had lived long enough in shadows. Flashback. The Innovator. 30 years ago, the world had known Sam Hayes by another title: Engineer. Back then, his hands were steady, his eyes filled with ambition. He wore pressed shirts, not janitor uniforms. His wife, Eleanor, used to tease him about the grease smudges on his collar from long nights at the drafting table. "You're going to change the world one day, Sam," she'd whisper, pressing a kiss to his cheek. And he had believed it. His greatest creation, the renewable energy prototype, was the culmination of years of late nights, coffee-stained papers, and sacrifice. A turbine system so efficient it could have redefined urban energy consumption. When he pitched it to the board of his old company, Solardyne Technologies, he thought it was the start of everything. Instead, it was the end. The executives laughed. They dismissed him, said it was idealistic nonsense. Funding was denied. Shortly after, Eleanor's illness worsened.
Bills piled up, debts mounted, and Sam sold everything he owned just to keep her alive. But medicine was merciless. Within 2 years, she was gone. And with her, Sam's dreams collapsed. Now, decades later, standing in Titan Corp's empty halls, Sam realized his dream hadn't died. It had been stolen. Present, the eavesdropper. From behind a half-open office door, Sam listened. Inside, 2 executives whispered furiously. "Pierce is playing with fire," one said. "Relax, nobody knows the design wasn't ours. By the time we launch, competitors won't stand a chance." "And if the real inventor comes forward?" "Who? Some washed-up nobody? We'll crush him in court before he even speaks." Sam's blood boiled. He wanted to step in, slam the mop against the desk, and scream, "It was mine!" But he didn't, because he wasn't ready. Yet. Instead, he melted back into the shadows, invisible once more. The encounter. The next day, Sam's routine continued as always. He scrubbed bathrooms, emptied trash cans, and polished glass doors until they gleamed. To everyone else, he was nothing. But fate had a strange sense of humor. As Sam pushed his cart into the executive lounge, Alexander Pierce was already there, tie loosened, sleeves rolled, sipping black coffee. The CEO's piercing blue eyes flicked up, narrowing. "You again," Alexander muttered. "Just doing my job, sir." But Alexander wasn't finished. He set down his cup and leaned against the counter. "Tell me something," he said coldly. "Do you ever regret it?" Sam paused. "Regret what, sir?" "Being you." Alexander smirked. "A janitor, cleaning up after men who actually matter." The words sliced like knives, but Sam didn't flinch. He met Alexander's gaze for the first time. "I don't regret honest work," he said quietly, "but I pity men who think money makes them matter." For a split second, Alexander's smile faltered. His jaw tightened, eyes darkening. But then he laughed, dismissing Sam like an insect. "Careful, old man. There's a line between bravery and stupidity." Sam returned to his mopping, silent. But inside, he was shaking, not with fear, but with rage. The clue. That evening, while collecting garbage from the boardroom, Sam noticed something strange in the shred bin. Among torn memos and financial drafts, one page was only half destroyed. It bore a logo he recognized instantly. Solardyne Technologies, his old company. His pulse quickened. The page contained fragments of technical notes, notations in handwriting eerily similar to his own, though altered. Titan Corp wasn't just using his design, they had stolen directly from Solardyne's archives. And Alexander Pierce was covering the trail. Sam folded the scrap carefully, slipping it into his pocket. Proof. It wasn't enough to win yet, but it was a start. Alexander's mask. Meanwhile, across town, Alexander sat in his penthouse suite staring out over the glittering skyline. The glass of whiskey in his hand trembled slightly, not that he would admit it to anyone. The truth was, Alexander Pierce wasn't as invincible as he seemed. He carried ghosts of his own. His father, Richard Pierce, had built Titan Corp from the ground up, a ruthless tycoon, feared and respected. Alexander had grown up in the man's shadow, taught that weakness was death, Crush or be crushed, Richard would say, pouring himself another drink. When Richard died suddenly of a stroke, Alexander inherited everything, but not his father's respect. The board doubted him. The media mocked his age. Investors whispered he was nothing but a spoiled brat with daddy's money. That's why the renewable prototype mattered. Launching it successfully would silence the critics forever. He didn't care if it was stolen. He cared only about winning. Because for Alexander, losing meant becoming nothing. The warning. Back at Titan Corp, Sam's shift was ending when a voice called from behind. "Hey, old man." It was Maya Chen, a young secretary who occasionally offered him kind smiles. Tonight, though, her face was pale. "Be careful," she whispered, glancing around. "I saw you near the boardroom earlier. If Pierce catches you snooping—" Sam stiffened. "Why warn me?" Maya hesitated. "Because I know what it's like to be invisible here. And because, well, you're right. They're hiding something." Sam studied her eyes. For the first time, he realized he wasn't entirely alone. "Thank you," he said softly. But Maya only shook her head. "Just watch your back. Pierce doesn't forgive." The spark. That night, Sam sat alone in his one-room apartment, staring at the scrap of paper from the shred bin. His hands shook as memories of Eleanor washed over him, her laughter, her belief in his dream. "You're going to change the world one day, Sam." Tears blurred his vision. Maybe he was too old. Maybe the world had forgotten him. But not yet. Not completely. Because now he had a mission. Alexander Pierce thought Sam Hayes was just a janitor, a nobody. But Sam was about to prove that even nobodies could bring down empires.
The city never truly slept, but Titan Corp Tower was quiet after hours, an eerie silence broken only by the hum of the security system and the soft squeak of Sam Hayes's mop across the marble floor. But tonight, Sam wasn't mopping. He was waiting. The clock struck midnight. From the elevator stepped Maya Chen, her heels clicking nervously against the floor. She clutched a folder tightly to her chest, glancing around as if the shadows themselves were listening. A dangerous meeting. "You're late," Sam muttered, though his voice held no judgment. Maya exhaled shakily. "I had to be careful. If anyone saw me bring these out of the archives—" She handed him the folder. Sam opened it carefully. Inside were technical schematics, financial reports, and most importantly, a signed memo. The memo bore Alexander Pierce's signature, authorizing a confidential acquisition of Solardyne's abandoned patents. Sam's hands trembled. This is it. Proof they stole my work." Maya lowered her voice. "Be careful. That document could bury Pierce, but it could bury you too. If he finds out you have it—" Sam's jaw tightened. "Then I'll have to make sure he doesn't." For the first time, Maya looked directly at him. In her eyes, Sam saw not fear, but conviction. "I'll help you," she whispered, "but you can't trust anyone else." Close call. Their meeting was cut short by the sound of footsteps echoing down the corridor. Sam quickly shoved the folder into his mop cart while Maya pretended to be scolding him about dirtying the carpet. 2 security guards appeared, their flashlights sweeping the hall. "Everything all right here?" one asked, suspicion in his tone. Maya forced a smile. "Just giving the janitor a hard time. You know me, always micromanaging." The guards chuckled and moved on. Only when their footsteps faded did Sam exhale.
His heart thundered in his chest. For a moment, he had been seconds away from losing everything. Alexander's paranoia. The next morning, Alexander Pierce stormed into the boardroom, his expression thunderous. "Who accessed the archives last night?" he barked. The executives exchanged nervous glances. One stammered, "No one, sir. Security logs show nothing unusual." Alexander slammed his fist on the table. "Then why do I feel like someone is watching us?" The room fell silent. Everyone knew Alexander's temper was infamous, but lately his paranoia was becoming dangerous. He had doubled security, demanded constant updates, and fired 2 managers simply for hesitating during meetings. But inside, Alexander's fear wasn't baseless. He had seen something in Sam's eyes during their last encounter, something unsettling. Not just defiance, but recognition. A secret partnership. Later that week, Maya slipped into the employee lounge where Sam was quietly eating his dinner. She sat across from him, lowering her voice. "Pierce is becoming suspicious. If we're going to expose him, we need a plan." Sam raised an eyebrow. "And you're willing to risk your job for this?" Maya hesitated. "It's not just about a job anymore. You don't know what it's like working here. Every day, people get chewed up and spat out. Pierce thinks he owns us, body and soul. I can't stand by while he gets richer off something he stole." Sam studied her. She was young, but her determination reminded him of Eleanor. That fire, that unwillingness to bend to corruption. "Then we're in this together," he said firmly. The first strike. Their chance came sooner than expected. Titan Corp was hosting an exclusive investor dinner, a lavish event where Alexander Pierce would unveil his revolutionary energy prototype. Sam knew it was the same design he had drafted decades ago. "Tonight," Sam whispered to Maya as he adjusted his janitor's uniform, "we plant the seeds." While Alexander entertained billionaires in the glittering ballroom, Sam quietly slipped into the server's corridor, Maya guiding him via her earpiece. Together, they swapped one of Alexander's presentation drives with a modified copy, containing hidden watermarks proving the design was stolen from Solardyne. If he presented it, the evidence would be embedded in every slide. The interruption. But things rarely went as planned. As Sam crept out of the corridor, he nearly collided with a man in a sharp black suit, one of Alexander's personal security detail. "What are you doing here?" the guard demanded, eyes narrowing. Sam's mind raced. He couldn't afford to be caught. "Spill in the kitchen," he lied quickly. "Needed extra hands. I'll be out of your way." The guard frowned, unconvinced. His hand hovered near the radio at his belt. Before he could speak, Maya appeared, smiling brightly. "There you are. I told you to fetch those extra linens 20 minutes ago." She glared at Sam theatrically. "Do I have to do everything myself?" The guard grunted and walked away, muttering under his breath. Only when their footsteps faded did Sam exhale. His heart thundered in his chest. For a moment, he had been seconds away from losing everything. Alexander's paranoia. In the ballroom, chandeliers sparkled above tables draped in silk. Cameras flashed as Alexander Pierce took the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced smoothly, "tonight you witness history." Behind him, the screen lit up with schematics, Sam's schematics. Sam and Maya, hidden near the back, watched with clenched fists as Alexander soaked in the applause. But then something unexpected happened. The watermark Sam had embedded flickered faintly on the screen. "Property of Solardyne Technologies." It was subtle, but sharp-eyed investors began murmuring. Some leaned forward, squinting. Others whispered among themselves. Alexander noticed. His confident smile wavered. What is this?" he stammered. He quickly clicked to the next slide, but the watermark appeared again. The whispers grew louder. Panic. Backstage, Alexander cornered his assistant, veins bulging in his neck. "Who tampered with my presentation?" he roared. I don't know, sir. It must have been—" "Find out," he hissed, his eyes scanning the room like a predator. And then his gaze landed, just for a fraction of a second, on Sam. The janitor was standing quietly near the exit, mop in hand. But there was something in his expression, calm, almost defiant, that made Alexander's blood run cold. Could it be him? The narrow escape. As the dinner descended into chaos, Maya tugged at Sam's sleeve. "We need to go now." They slipped out through the service hallway just as Alexander's security team began sweeping the venue. "Tonight was only the beginning," Sam whispered, as they disappeared into the night. Maya nodded, her eyes blazing. "Then let's finish this."
The city skyline glittered like a crown, but inside Titan Corp's top floor, Alexander Pierce was anything but calm. The investor dinner had been a disaster. The whispers, the questions, the subtle doubts, all because of that watermark. Pierce stared at the frozen screen, replaying the slides, the faint words haunting him. Property of Solardyne Technologies. "Whoever did this," he muttered, his fists clenching, "will regret it." Suspicion falls. The following morning, Titan Corp buzzed with tension. Employees whispered nervously in hallways. Rumors spread that Pierce had screamed so loudly during the debrief that glassware shattered in the boardroom. Security Chief Marcus Holt stepped into Pierce's office. "Sir, we've reviewed the camera feeds. The only unusual activity last night came from the janitor." Alexander's head snapped up. "The janitor?" Marcus nodded. "Sam Hayes. He was near the server corridor right before the presentation." For a moment, Pierce froze. A memory flashed. The janitor's eyes at the dinner, calm and defiant. Not the eyes of a simple cleaner. "Keep him under surveillance," Pierce ordered coldly. "I want every move tracked. And Marcus, if he slips, I want to know before he does." The pressure mounts. Sam noticed it almost immediately. The security guards who used to ignore him now lingered longer when he passed. His locker was searched, sloppily but obviously. Even his mop cart seemed to draw strange attention. One night, as he pushed his cart through the empty lobby, he caught his reflection in the glass doors. Behind him, a shadow moved and vanished. "They're watching me," he muttered under his breath. Later, in the service elevator, his phone buzzed. A message from Maya. "Be careful. Pierce suspects you. We need to change the plan." The secret meeting. That evening, Sam and Maya met again in the dimly lit supply closet. "They've tightened everything," Maya said, her face pale. "Cameras in places they never bothered with before. Security everywhere. If we try to leak the documents now, they'll trace it back to us instantly." Sam leaned against the wall, rubbing his temples. "So what do we do? Wait until Pierce buries us completely?" Maya hesitated, then pulled out a small USB drive. "I made a backup, not just the memo. You'll want to see this." On the tiny screen of her tablet, Sam read the files. His chest tightened. These weren't just patents. These were emails. Emails between Alexander and several politicians. Bribery disguised as donations. Secret accounts. A blueprint for corruption. This
"This could take him down," Sam whispered. Maya's voice was urgent. "Yes, but only if we release it carefully. Once it's out, there's no going back." The confrontation. The next day, Pierce decided to test his suspicion. As Sam mopped outside the executive wing, Alexander himself stepped into the hall. "Janitor," he said smoothly, his smile sharp as glass, "how long have you been with us?" Sam paused, gripping the mop handle. "Long enough to know this building inside and out." Pierce tilted his head. "Interesting. You know, I can always tell when someone doesn't belong." Their eyes locked. For a heartbeat, the hallway went silent. Employees passing by froze, sensing the tension. Then Pierce's smile returned. "Keep up the good work," he said, walking away. But Sam knew that wasn't praise. That was a warning. A desperate gamble. That night, Maya called Sam to the archives. She was pale, her hands trembling. "They're planning something. Pierce has scheduled a special audit. That means they'll frame someone, probably you." Sam frowned. "Frame me for what?" "Espionage, theft, whatever suits them. They'll plant evidence, make it look like you've been stealing documents." Sam clenched his fists. "Then we strike first. If they want to bury me, I'll make sure the truth comes out before they can." Maya hesitated. "How?" Sam's voice was steady. "The press. We leak everything to a journalist, someone with reach." But Pierce was already one step ahead. As Sam left the archives that night, he felt the weight of eyes on him. A sleek black car was parked across the street, engine humming. The tinted window lowered slightly. Inside, Alexander Pierce watched him, his expression unreadable. For a long, tense moment, neither moved. Then the window rolled back up. The car pulled away. Sam's stomach turned cold. This wasn't just surveillance anymore. This was a hunt. The phone call. Later, as Sam sat in his small apartment, his phone buzzed with an unknown number. Hesitantly, he answered. A voice purred on the other end. "Mr. Hayes, or should I say, Mr. Solardine." Sam froze. "I know who you are. I know what you're trying to do, and I assure you it won't end well. Walk away, or you won't walk at all." The line went dead. Sam sat in silence, the threat echoing in his ears. The resolve. The next morning, Sam looked in the cracked mirror of his bathroom. His reflection was weary, lined with years of hardship, but his eyes were steady. "They want me afraid," he muttered, "but I've been afraid long enough." He tucked the USB drive into his pocket. Tonight, the truth would be set free.
The city didn't sleep, but tonight it felt as if it held its breath. Sam Hayes walked the dimly lit streets with his cap pulled low, the USB drive tucked safely in his pocket. Every step echoed with the weight of what he carried. Inside that tiny piece of metal was enough evidence to topple Alexander Pierce, the untouchable CEO of Titan Corp. But Pierce wasn't the kind of man who went down without a fight. The plan. In the archives earlier that day, Sam and Maya whispered over a blueprint of Titan Corp's offices, careful to stay out of the security camera's blind spots. "We need a journalist," Sam said, his voice low but firm. "Not just anyone, someone who won't be silenced with money or threats." Maya nodded, pulling up her phone. "There's one, Rachel Quinn, investigative reporter. She exposed that senator's corruption scandal last year." Sam leaned closer. "Good. How do we reach her?" Maya hesitated. "She doesn't trust easily, but she's speaking at the press club tomorrow night. If we can get this to her." Sam finished the thought. "Then the whole city will know what Pierce has done." But deep down, both of them knew it wouldn't be that easy. The setup. The following evening, Sam walked into Titan Corp like any other night. Mop, cart, uniform, just another janitor. But tonight every hallway felt dangerous, every shadow alive with eyes. As he pushed his cart toward the 18th floor, he noticed something odd. His ID card beeped red at the scanner. Strange, he muttered, swiping again. This time it turned green, but too slowly, as if someone had been watching, waiting. Inside, his locker was ajar. Someone had searched it again. Maya slipped in behind him, her face tense. "They're closing in, Sam. I heard Marcus talking to the board. Pierce wants you arrested tonight." Sam froze. "On what charges?" "Espionage. Theft. They've planted files on your locker computer. They're setting you up to look like a spy for Solardyne." Sam's blood ran cold. "Then we move now, before they make it official." The trap springs. As they left the archives, Security Chief Marcus appeared with 2 guards. "Mr. Hayes," Marcus said smoothly, "the CEO would like to see you in his office, immediately." Sam forced his expression neutral. "Of course." Maya whispered as they walked. "This is it. He's springing the trap." Inside the executive office, Alexander Pierce stood by the window, the city lights casting him in cold gold. "Sam," Pierce said, warmly, too warmly, "do you know what I hate most in this world? Betrayal." Sam said nothing. Pierce turned, tossing a file onto his desk. Inside were documents, emails, transfer records, and false reports painting Sam as a corporate thief. "Security found these on your terminal. Do you deny them?" Sam's jaw tightened. "They're fake." Pierce's smile widened. "The evidence says otherwise, but perhaps we can make a deal." "The offer." Pierce stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Give me the backup drive, and I'll make this disappear. No prison, no trial. You'll walk away, free." Sam's heart pounded. Pierce knew. Somehow, he knew. Maya's eyes flicked to Sam, urging him silently, "Don't give in." Sam steadied his voice. "I don't know what you're talking about." For a moment, silence. Then Pierce chuckled, slow and cold. "So it be." He nodded to Marcus. "Take him." The guards lunged. Sam shoved his cart into one of them, toppling bottles and brushes. Maya grabbed the light switch, plunging the room into darkness. "Run!" she hissed. Sam darted out the side door, Maya on his heels. Alarms blared as security swarmed the halls. Down stairwells, through service corridors, into the loading dock, they ran until their lungs burned. "Here," Maya pointed, to an old maintenance truck. Sam hot-wired it with trembling hands, and the engine roared to life. They sped into the night as Titan Corp's floodlights swept the streets behind them. The chase. But Pierce wasn't finished. From his penthouse window, he watched the truck vanish. He picked up his phone. "Activate the private team," he ordered coldly. "I want Hayes found. Tonight." The safe house. Sam and Maya reached a shabby apartment in the city's outskirts, a safe house Maya had arranged. Inside, Sam finally allowed himself to breathe. He placed the USB drive on the table. "We can't wait any longer. Tomorrow we find Rachel Quinn. No more running." Maya nodded, though her hands shook. "Sam, once this goes public, there's no undoing it. Pierce will come for us harder than ever." Sam looked at her, his eyes steady. "Then let him. I'm done hiding." But outside, in the alley below, a black SUV idled quietly. A man in a headset spoke into the mic. "Target located. Awaiting orders." The hunter's eyes were still on them.
The night was restless. In the safe house, Sam Hayes sat by the flickering lamp, staring at the small USB drive resting on the table. The tiny piece of metal looked harmless, yet it carried the power to destroy Alexander Pierce, the most feared CEO in the city. Maya paced the room, checking the window every few minutes. "You know they'll be here soon," she whispered. Sam nodded. "That's why we move at dawn. Rachel Quinn's the only one who can get this story out before Pierce silences us." But even as he spoke, a shadow was already moving against them. The Watchers. Outside, in the alley below, two men sat in the black SUV, eyes fixed on the safe house window. "Target confirmed. Orders." The voice on the other end was cold, commanding. "Do not engage until I arrive. Pierce wants this handled personally." The morning departure. At sunrise, Sam and Maya slipped out the back of the safe house, disguises in place. Sam wore a battered cap and worker's jacket, Maya a hooded coat that hid her face. They moved quickly, blending into the early morning crowds. "Rachel's speaking at the press club this afternoon," Maya said as they walked. "It's our chance. If we can hand her the drive live on stage, Pierce won't be able to bury it." Sam glanced around, uneasy. "Then we better pray she believes us." The unexpected ally. At a small cafe near the press club, they stopped to rest. As Sam sipped his coffee, a man slid into the booth across from him. Sam tensed. "Relax," the man said, flashing a journalist's badge. "Name's Daniel. I work with Rachel." Maya frowned. "How did you find us?" Daniel leaned closer. "Rachel's been tracking Pierce for months. Word on the street is you've got something big on him. She sent me." Sam studied him carefully. The man looked genuine, but Pierce was a master manipulator. Daniel pulled out his phone, showing a message thread with Rachel's verified account. "Meet Sam Hayes. Help him reach me." That was enough for Sam to lower his guard. The press club. The press club buzzed with energy. Journalists, photographers, and reporters filled the grand hall. On stage, banners read, "The Future of Truth in Media." Rachel Quinn stood at the podium, sharp-eyed, fearless, the kind of woman who thrived on exposing the powerful. "This is it," Maya whispered, "our moment." Sam clutched the USB in his pocket and nodded. But unknown to them, Pierce had already anticipated this move. His men were in the hall, disguised as cameramen, event staff, even guests. And Marcus, his ruthless security chief, stood in the back, eyes scanning the crowd. The approach. As Rachel finished her speech, Daniel nudged Sam. "Now's your chance. Go." Sam swallowed hard, pushing through the crowd. He reached the stage stairs, pulling the USB from his pocket. "Rachel Quinn," he called softly. She turned, surprise flashing across her face. "Who?" But before Sam could hand her the drive, Marcus's voice thundered. "Stop him!" Security surged. Guests gasped. Sam froze as a guard lunged at him. Maya screamed, "Sam, run!" and shoved another guard aside. Sam bolted across the stage, desperate to reach Rachel. He stretched out his hand, the USB inches from hers. Then Daniel grabbed his wrist. Sam's eyes widened. "What?" Daniel's voice was a whisper of betrayal. "Sorry, Sam. Pierce pays more." He twisted Sam's arm, forcing the USB from his grip. "No!" Maya cried, rushing forward. But Marcus caught her, dragging her back. Sam staggered, fury boiling in his chest. You were working for him all along." Daniel smirked. "Everyone has a price." But Rachel Quinn was not just an observer. She'd been watching everything. The chaos, the betrayal, the desperation in Sam's eyes. Before Daniel could pocket the USB, she snatched it from his hand. "Nice try," she said coolly. "But I don't work for Pierce. I work for the truth." Daniel's smirk faded instantly. "You don't know what you're dealing with." Rachel turned to Sam. "Is this real?" Sam, panting, nodded.
Every word. Proof of embezzlement, bribes, black projects, all of it. Rachel slipped the USB in her blazer. Then I'll make sure the world sees it. The narrow escape. Marcus roared, shoving through the crowd. Seize them all! Panic erupted. Guests fled. Cameras flashed. Rachel grabbed Sam and Maya's hands. This way! They darted backstage, weaving through corridors as Pierce's men chased them. Bullets cracked against the walls, shouts echoing. They burst out a side door into the blinding daylight. Rachel pointed to a waiting car. Get in! As the car screeched away, Sam looked back. Marcus stood in the doorway, phone to his ear, his face twisted in rage. Pierce would not forgive this. The storm ahead. Inside the speeding car, Rachel glanced at Sam. If what's on this drive is as big as you say, Pierce will unleash hell to stop us. You realize that, right? Sam met her gaze, his voice steady. Then let him. I'm done running. Rachel gave a sharp nod. Good, because this is only the beginning. Outside, storm clouds gathered over the city. The battle lines were drawn.
The city woke under heavy clouds. Rain smeared the streets, headlights cutting through the mist. Somewhere above, helicopters circled, their spotlights scanning alleys and rooftops. Alexander Pierce had declared war. The broadcast. In the penthouse of his glass tower, Pierce stood before a wall of screens. News anchors whispered of chaos at the press club. Footage showed Sam Hayes storming the stage, guards rushing, Rachel Quinn pulling him to safety. Pierce's jaw clenched. This janitor thinks he can humiliate me in public? End him! Marcus bowed his head. Already done. Roadblocks are up. Airports locked. The city is a cage, and Hayes is the mouse. Pierce's eyes blazed. Then crush him before he squeaks again. Rachel's safe house. In the penthouse of his glass tower, Pierce stood before a wall of screens. News anchors whispered of chaos at the press club. Footage showed Sam Hayes storming the stage, guards rushing, Rachel Quinn pulling him to safety. Pierce's jaw clenched. This janitor thinks he can humiliate me in public? End him! Marcus bowed his head. Already done. Roadblocks are up. Airports locked. The city is a cage, and Hayes is the mouse. Pierce's eyes blazed. Then crush him before he squeaks again. Rachel's safe house. In the penthouse of his glass tower, Pierce stood before a wall of screens. News anchors whispered of chaos at the press club. Footage showed Sam Hayes storming the stage, guards rushing, Rachel Quinn pulling him to safety. Pierce's jaw clenched. This janitor thinks he can humiliate me in public? End him! Marcus bowed his head. Already done. Roadblocks are up. Airports locked. The city is a cage, and Hayes is the mouse. Pierce's eyes blazed. Then crush him before he squeaks again. Rachel's safe house. In the hidden basement studio, Rachel placed the USB into a secure laptop. Sam and Maya hovered behind her as lines of encrypted data scrolled across the screen. It's all here, Rachel breathed. Pierce's secret accounts, offshore transfers, black site contracts. Sam gripped the back of her chair. Then leak it, now! Rachel shook her head. If we rush this, Pierce will claim it's fake. We need live proof, a broadcast he can't censor. Maya frowned. But won't that make us sitting ducks? Rachel looked at her. We already are. The hunter's net. Across the city, Pierce's men fanned out, raiding bus stations, scanning surveillance cameras, storming apartments.
Posters went up. Wanted, Sam Hayes. A talk show host declared, "An unhinged ex-janitor is accused of assault and data theft against Mr. Pierce. Citizens are urged to report him immediately." Sam saw it on a flickering TV in a diner window. His stomach twisted. "He's painting me as a criminal." Rachel touched his arm. "That means he's scared. Keep moving." A glimpse of hope. They reached an abandoned newsroom, a relic from when journalism hadn't been bought by corporations. Dust coated the desks, but the satellite uplink dish still stood on the roof. Rachel's eyes lit up. "If we can power this, we can go live worldwide." Sam glanced around. "Can it even work?" Rachel smiled grimly. "It's old, but like me, it's still dangerous." The personal loss. As they set up equipment, Maya stepped outside to make a call. Her younger brother lived in the city. She wanted him safe before Pierce's men traced her. The phone rang once, then a deep voice answered, not her brother's. "Looking for someone?" Marcus's cruel chuckle echoed. "We already found him." Maya froze, her heart sinking. "If you touch him—" Marcus cut her off. "Come quietly, and maybe the boy walks away." The line went dead. The fracture. Maya stumbled back inside, pale. Sam rushed to her. "What happened?" She shook her head, tears brimming. "Pierce has him. My brother. They'll kill him unless I give myself up." Sam clenched his fists. "It's a trap. You can't— I can't let him die!" she cried, voice breaking. Rachel placed a hand on her shoulder. "We'll find another way. Don't let Pierce divide us." But Sam saw it. The doubt in Maya's eyes, the unbearable weight of family. The cracks were forming. The siege. As night fell, the abandoned newsroom lit with computer screens. Rachel typed furiously, bypassing firewalls. Sam checked the doors, tension coiled in his chest. Then headlights appeared outside. Dozens of SUVs, armed men pouring out. "They found us," Sam hissed. "Not yet. I just need 10 more minutes." Maya stood frozen between them, torn by loyalty, fear, and her brother's life. The first gunshot shattered the window. The escape plan. Rachel shoved a backpack into Sam's hands. "Take the backup drive and run. If I go down, this data must survive." Sam stared at her. "I won't leave you. You don't have a choice. Pierce won't stop until one of us bleeds. Don't waste this." The walls shook as explosives hit the door. Sam grabbed Maya's arm. "We move, now!" Rachel stayed at the console, eyes blazing as code streamed across the screen. The sacrifice. As Sam and Maya bolted through the back stairwell, Marcus's men stormed in. Rachel rose from her chair, hands raised. "Looking for me?" Marcus smirked. "Where's Hayes?" Rachel laughed bitterly. "You'll never catch him." And with a swift motion, she hit enter. All the screens blazed with a message. "Pierce exposed. Broadcast begins." Marcus lunged forward, but it was too late. The files were uploading, flashing to servers across the globe. Rachel Quinn had chosen her battlefield and her sacrifice. The cliffhanger. Outside, Sam and Maya heard the explosion as Marcus's men destroyed the console. Smoke poured from the newsroom. Maya's scream tore through the night. "Rachel!" Sam dragged her into the shadows, his face carved with grief. She knew what she was doing. From the rooftop behind them, a drone's red laser locked onto their path. Pierce's voice echoed through Marcus's calm. "Burn the city if you must, but bring me Hayes alive." The hunt wasn't over. It had only just begun.
The city was no longer theirs. Helicopters hummed overhead. Checkpoints choked every street. News anchors repeated Pierce's lies until they sounded like truth. Sam Hayes, dangerous fugitive, wanted for cybercrime, sabotage, and murder. But in the shadows, Sam and Maya kept moving. Their world had shrunk to dark alleys, stolen meals, and the hope that Rachel's sacrifice hadn't been in vain. The ashes of Rachel. They found refuge in an old subway tunnel, damp and echoing. Maya sat on the cold stone floor, silent tears rolling down her cheeks. "She's gone because of us," she whispered. "Rachel stayed, and now—" Sam knelt beside her, gripping her shoulders. "She stayed because she believed we could finish this. Don't let Pierce win by making you doubt." But even as he said it, Sam's own chest ached. He could still see Rachel's fierce smile in those last moments, could still hear the explosion as the newsroom burned. Seeds of distrust. Days blurred into nights. Food grew scarce. Sam stole scraps from markets, while Maya barely touched them. Her eyes carried a haunted distance. One evening, as Sam returned with a bag of stolen bread, he found Maya whispering into a burner phone. His heart lurched. "Who are you talking to?" Maya flinched, shoving the phone away. "No one, just checking on my brother." Sam narrowed his eyes. "Or checking with Pierce?" Her face crumpled. "How can you even say that?" But the seed was planted. Suspicion hung heavy in the tunnel like smoke. Pierce's grip. Meanwhile, in his steel and glass fortress, Alexander Pierce stood before a council of shareholders. "They think the janitor is a hero. The leak is spreading." Pierce's smile was thin and cruel. "Leaks can be drowned. Tonight, the city will learn that resistance has a price." He turned to Marcus. "Light the match." Hours later, 3 apartment blocks linked to activists went up in flames. News anchors reported gas leaks. Survivors whispered the truth. Pierce had declared open war. The safe house betrayal. A contact led Sam and Maya to a supposed safe house, a crumbling warehouse by the docks. Inside, a group of masked rebels greeted them. "You're the janitor, the one who stood against Pierce." I nodded warily. "We need allies. Rachel died for this data. Help us finish it." The rebels exchanged glances. Then one slid a pistol from his jacket. "Pierce says hello." The trap snapped shut. The fight for breath. Gunfire erupted, echoing off rusted steel. Sam dove behind crates, pulling Maya with him. Bullets splintered wood. Maya cried out, "It's a setup!" Sam gritted his teeth. "Stay down!" He hurled a wrench across the floor, drawing fire, then lunged at the nearest attacker. His fists, honed from years of mopping floors and fixing machines, were iron. One rebel went down hard, but they were outnumbered. The circle tightened. Marcus arrives. Heavy boots pounded the dock. Marcus strode in, his grin wolfish. "End of the line, janitor. Pierce will enjoy watching you crawl." Maya froze, her face pale. I spat blood, but stood tall. "You'll have to kill me here." Marcus tilted his head. "Why waste a bullet when betrayal does the job?" He nodded toward Maya. I turned and saw the burner phone still glowing in her pocket. The shattering truth. My stomach dropped. "Maya, you told them where we were." Tears streamed down her face.
They had my brother. I couldn't. My voice cracked with rage and heartbreak. You gave them Rachel's death for nothing. I thought I could save him. I didn't know. Marcus laughed, cruel and sharp. Pierce doesn't make deals. Your brother is already ash. Maya screamed, collapsing to her knees. My fury burned into cold steel. The last stand. With a roar, I slammed a crate into Marcus, knocking the gun aside. Chaos erupted, rebels charged, fists and steel pipes swinging. I fought like a man possessed, every punch fueled by betrayal, every strike by grief. 2 went down, then 3. But Marcus was a predator. He caught me by the throat, lifting me off the ground. You should have stayed in the janitor's closet. I gasped, vision blurring. I closed my hand around a shard of glass on the floor. With my last strength, I slashed. Marcus hauled, blood streaming down his arm. I dropped, gasping. The escape. Sirens wailed outside. The police, paid by Pierce, coming to finish the job. I grabbed Maya, who was still sobbing in shock. Together we stumbled through a broken wall into the night air. Behind us, the warehouse erupted in flames, Marcus's furious roars swallowed by fire. We collapsed by the docks, breathless, battered, broken. Maya whispered, I never wanted this. I just wanted my family safe. My voice was raw. Pierce has taken everything from us, and now he'll pay. The cliffhanger. Above the burning warehouse, Pierce's face appeared on every billboard in the city, smirking, declaring victory. But Sam Hayes, bloodied and betrayed, looked up at the glowing screens. His eyes no longer carried doubt. They burned with vengeance. The janitor is coming for you, he whispered. And the city, trembling under Pierce's grip, felt the storm brewing.
The city at boiling point. The city was bleeding. Fires burned where protests once stood. Sirens howled through the night like wolves. On every screen, every channel, Alexander Pierce's face smiled coldly, promising order, but delivering only fear. Yet in the ruins of the docks, word spread, the janitor lives. Whispers became sparks, sparks became flames, and flames became a movement. Sam Hayes was no longer just a man. He was a symbol. Maya's redemption. In a crumbling apartment, Sam stitched a gash in his arm. Maya sat silently, guilt crushing her like a weight. Finally, she whispered, I betrayed you. I don't deserve to fight by your side. Sam's eyes were tired, but steady. You made a choice out of love, not greed. Pierce used that against you. Don't let him win again. Maya looked at him, trembling. Then let me help finish this. Let me make it right. Sam nodded once. Then we go together. The plan. Rachel's sacrifice hadn't been in vain. The hard drive she'd saved still pulsed with evidence, contracts, offshore accounts, the truth behind Pierce's empire. But evidence was useless unless the people saw it. We need the broadcast tower, Sam said, spreading a stolen map on the table. Pierce controls every channel from there. If we hijack it, the whole city will hear the truth. Maya swallowed. It's suicide. That tower is a fortress. Sam's voice was steel. Then we fight until there's nothing left. In the lion's den. Night fell heavy as they approached the tower, an obsidian monolith stabbing the sky, its windows glowing like eyes. Armed guards patrolled the perimeter. Drones hummed overhead. Sam and Maya slipped through shadows, scaling scaffolding, crawling through vents. Every step was a heartbeat closer to Pierce.
But inside, waiting like a spider in its web, was Marcus. His arm was bandaged, his grin feral. "Round 2, Janitor," he growled. The battle with Marcus. The fight exploded in a storm of fists, steel, and fury. Marcus swung a metal baton with savage force. Sam dodged, countered with a wrench, sparks flying as steel clashed. "You're nothing," Marcus roared, "a janitor trying to play hero." Sam grunted, blocking another blow. "Funny, you're just a dog cleaning up Pierce's mess." The insult cut deep. With a roar, Marcus lunged again, but this time Sam was ready. He used Marcus's momentum, flipping him over the railing. Marcus dangled, fingers clawing at the edge. His eyes burned with hatred. "Do it! Kill me!" Sam's chest heaved. He looked down at the man who had hunted him, betrayed Maya, killed countless innocents. Then Sam let go, not of Marcus, but of his rage. "I'm not like Pierce." Marcus's scream echoed as he plunged into the darkness below. Face to face with Pierce. At the top floor, glass walls revealed the city glowing below. Alexander Pierce waited, impeccably dressed, sipping wine as if hosting a guest. Samuel Hayes, the janitor who mistook himself for a king. Sam's fists clenched. "This ends tonight." Pierce chuckled. "Do you think truth matters? I own the courts, the media, the people's fear. You have nothing." Sam tossed the hard drive on the table. "I have this." Pierce's smile didn't falter. "Destroy it, bury it, broadcast it. The machine rolls on. Heroes are forgotten. Power remains." The broadcast. Maya slipped to the console, fingers flying across keys. "Signal's open," she cried. "We're live to every screen in the city." Sam snatched the microphone, his voice raw, echoing through the night. "My name is Sam Hayes. I was a janitor, a nobody, and Pierce wanted it that way, because people like me were invisible. But I saw the rot. I saw the lies. And tonight, you will too." Screens across the city flickered. Documents, recordings, and confessions burst onto every device. The truth bared its teeth. Crowds gasped. Anger turned into thunderous roars. The streets surged with power. The final duel. Pierce's calm cracked. His smile faded. With a snarl, he drew a hidden pistol. "You should have stayed in the shadows." The shot rang out. Sam dove, pain searing his shoulder. Blood bloomed. Pierce advanced, cold fury in his eyes. "They'll forget you by morning." But Maya leapt between them, slamming a chair into Pierce's hand. The gun clattered. Sam surged forward, tackling Pierce into the glass wall. The city spread below like a sea of stars. The two men grappled, power against persistence, wealth against will. Pierce sneered, pressing Sam's head against the glass. "You're nothing but dirt on my shoes." Sam's voice was a growl. "Then maybe it's time dirt buried you." With a final heave, he shattered the glass. Both men teetered on the edge. Pierce slipped, his scream lost in the night as he plunged into the city he once owned. Aftermath. Silence filled the tower. Sam collapsed, bloodied and broken. Maya dragged him back from the edge, tears streaming. Below, the city erupted, not in fear, but in hope. Crowds filled the streets, chanting the janitor's name. Police who once obeyed Pierce lowered their weapons. The machine was breaking. Epilogue. Weeks later, Sam stood on the courthouse steps, arm in a sling. Reporters swarmed, flashes blinding. A journalist shouted, "You were just a janitor. Why risk everything?" Sam's eyes were tired, but they burned with quiet fire. Because sometimes the people who clean up the mess are the only ones willing to fight it. Maya stepped beside him, no longer broken, but strong. The crowd cheered, their voices echoing like thunder through the reborn city. And though scars remained, one truth was certain. The janitor had beaten the CEO.